What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another podcast and also a YouTube video. I'm starting to post these podcasts on YouTube as like a full-length video. Before, I was only posting them as like a little diagonal video. And so I'm going to post them as full-length size videos on YouTube now, which is awesome. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, to subscribe if you're on Spotify. Make sure to follow the podcast, because in this podcast and on my YouTube and stuff, I'll be posting different YouTube videos on my YouTube. I'll be posting, podcasts on my podcast, etc. But I like to post specifically like the podcast on my YouTube, so then that way you guys also get the video if you want to watch it. But make sure that you subscribe, like, show some love, because I'll be always talking about topics like, mental health, burnout, fitness, more specifically, your health, more specifically, because I am a fitness coach and stuff like that. But in today's episode, I want to talk about burnout. And I only want to talk about it because I am a experienced person who's gone through burnout, and it fucking sucks. I've gone through it so many fucking times. It's ridiculous. I've been building my business for like the last 5 years. And I'm not going to say I'm the best business builder out there. I'm not going to say I'm like the most successful fitness coach out there. I'm not going to bullshit you and try to feed you this aura of like, I am the greatest and the best who's ever done it, because I'm not. Like, I was literally thinking about it like the other day, and I'm like, I'm going to be real with you guys. I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, man, I've basically consistently hit like 6 figures a year, around the same number, every year for the last like probably 3 years, which is really good, because like a lot of fitness coaches don't even make it there. They usually burn out and quit. They go through what I've been experiencing this week and then quit, because those same feelings of quitting always come up when I'm in a state of burnout every single time. I remember about a year ago, I was living alone in my own apartment in Mahogany, if you know where that is in Calgary. And I remember I got to a place of burnout where I was just working so much. I had very low life fulfillment. There wasn't a lot of like oomph in my life. And when I got to a place of burnout, I remember just literally basically like working 3 to 4 hours a day, and then like being on my couch for the rest of the day. I'd go to the gym, blah, 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 but no fulfillment. Like, I vividly like remember that time as very like bleak and gray because of just how I was feeling. And I wasn't, but the problem was that and here's a problem that I see with a lot of people who experience burnout, which is such a big topic with fitness, because if you're feeling that way, like, to be real, I skipped the gym yesterday. Like, you're going to want to skip the gym if you're feeling burnt out, because you have such low energy. Sometimes I don't feel like I want to, but sometimes I do. And that's just kind of what happens when you burn out. You have no fucking energy. You're exhausted. The tank's down. But the problem that I see is that people always relate burnout to like, I need to rest and recover, which is one of the main reasons. But you also need to solve the problem of the burnout, which is done by putting in work to solve the burnout problem. And I think coming around this time to this point in my life where I've recently burnt out, I've burnt out a couple of times this year already, all right? But the more that this happens, the more that I'm starting to realize, I can't handle, 6-7 cups of coffee a day sitting at my desk for 16 hours and just fucking grinding, because I'm just going to burn out. Like, you're going to get zero life fulfillment. So it's like, how can I work smarter, more effectively to get done what I need to in my day without burning out, with also putting out quality work, to make sure that I can just keep going, because it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I just burped into the microphone. I hope you enjoy it. Oh my God, it's because I just had this Diet Dr. Pepper, which is absolutely amazing. Not sponsored, but I wish. So something that I've realized this time around is that like, you can rest all you want, but if you're not actively like then coming back to a place, it's like, fine, rest for a day or two, but like, if you're not coming back to a place where you are figuring out what you need to solve, then to solve the burnout, then it's like, okay, like, you're going to continue to burn out, right? Because, for example, I think something really important in life, which kind of comes to me naturally, but I notice trends in life. Like, for me, for example, this burnout trend in my life, I'm like realizing it, okay, what's causing me to burn out so often? Like, what leads up to it? What are the things that I do? what are the things that I'm listening to? What are the things that I'm taking part in? What areas of my life am I neglecting? And then I've noticed that every time I burn out, it's just because like the same things keep happening. And I've noticed the same in business too, because the one thing with business, and one thing that business teaches you, is that like it's very systematic. It's not luck based. To an extent it kind of is, but if you're building a business from the ground up, it's like, it's very strategic. It's like you do the things or you don't do the things, you know what I mean? And so with business, for example, what I've noticed, like one of the main things about why I get burned out is because I just put on too many hats all the time and I burn myself out. And so I've come to a place where like I've had to pull back, replan, reassess for what I can only handle right now just by myself before I start hiring people and then building a team and blah, blah, blah. So then that way I can free up my time. So then that way I get less burned out, but I can only do that if I hire people. So then that way I can fill up that time. So then that way I have more free time. So then that way I don't burn out. But first I need to be in a place to do only what I can handle to then grow the business to the point where I can actually hire people without taking on extra load. But I would always come back to this place where I take on all this extra load and say yes, even if it's just the things that I decide in my own head to do because I feel like I need to grow the business out of urgency, out of like scarcity, you know what I mean? Or scarcity. I don't know how to pronounce it, but scarcity. So that's like a trend that I've noticed in my life that has led me to burnout again and again and again. But what I notice is that like it just fucks my life over. More so mentally. It doesn't mean that like it kind of fucks up your life track that it's on. It can fuck up your fitness, right? If you're maybe overcommitting to things in your life, or if you're not noticing these trends, or if you're, you know what I mean? And it fucks up my life. And so I'm like, man, I got to figure this shit out. I'm almost 25. If I go on 30, I'm like, this has to, you know what I mean? So it's like, it needs to be solved, because then it's like, if it's not, then it's like, fuck, I'll be fucked if I don't, you know what I mean? But that's my way of thinking. And so I wrote down a couple things that I might kind of, I'm kind of already going through it, but I'm kind of referring to it. But it's, yeah. And I don't know, in this day and age, it's so easy to get caught up in comparing yourself. You see everybody's highlight reel, but literally everybody goes through what I'm going through. Everybody. And it takes a really mature perspective to be able to like sit and think with yourself like, oh, I can't do everything right now, and that's okay. Oh, I need to replan. Oh, I need to reorganize my week. I need to reorganize my schedule. Everybody can control that. Oh, I need to change my gym schedule because this is actually too many days for me. Oh, I need to make it a little bit more simple. I need to make my nutrition plan more simple because it's just stressing me out right now. And I think that's something super important for my fitness clients to understand as well, is that like a lot of people come to me for results, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll get you to do the things that give you results. But another trend that I've noticed with a lot of people is that like, even though they're doable and you can do them, but it takes work and effort, a lot of people can't handle that because they're so stressed out, which is why I feel like a lot of people also fail in their fitness. And it is why. But they figure that out as they go. And luckily I'm an understanding coach and I know how to work with them, and I don't just force them to follow a plan, and I know how to change the plan because I'm actually knowledgeable. But it's like, that's one of those things, right? And so also the same goes for me in my life with business. It's like, sometimes you have to dial back, reassess in order to move forward. But it's like, it's a constant practice. I think that's like one thing to think about. Another mistake that I see myself make is that I'll go through this, and then here's a thing that's constantly popped up in my head. I'll go through this, and then I'll like debrief, replan, figure it out, and then when I did, I'm like, oh, I figured it out, I'm good, and then I'll coast and I'll be fucking awesome. But like, this right here is a constant practice, because life is literally always up and down, ebbs, flows. It's the way it goes 24/7, 365. And so what I've noticed is that things like, being happy doesn't just happen. Burning out, it doesn't just happen. It will happen. It's a choice, right? And, we go through life making series of choices all the time. And this is just one of those more important things in life. Burnout, like mental exhaustion, burnout, overwhelm, anxiety, stress, big things in life that everybody goes through that not a lot of people know how to manage, including myself, as you can see. Learn it. But I'm doing my best to try and build like my life the way that I want without like working all the fucking time, consuming my life. Not too long ago, 4 months ago, man, I was working 16-hour days, like morning to night, like going to the gym, running on fucking coffee, like all this stuff, hanging out with the girlfriend at night, this blah, 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 blah. And I like, after I burned out from that, I was like, okay, obviously I can't do that anymore. Right now, I can't do that anymore. So then it's like, if you're always coming to a place where it's like you need to reassess and change things, it's like you have to work a little smarter there. You got to come from a different angle in order to take a step forward again. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening again. So stop choosing burnout. Start choosing better. Burnout's a choice. I'm done choosing the same cycle over and over again. You know, you might have to reassess and change some of the way that you do things. You might have to learn some new things. You might have to just laugh at yourself because you don't know it all. You know, you might have to choose some boundaries with yourself. And guess what? Like, literally, it's all going to be worth it because you're going to be feeling better. You're going to have more control of your life. And it's one of those things that I just, you know, I see myself do from time to time. I'm like really fucking disciplined, like really disciplined, but sometimes like too disciplined to where I then burn myself out and stuff like that, right? So, but I also see other people do it too. And like, these things don't just relate to you, you know, becoming better for your health and your fitness and like longevity and like in your life, but like, it's just good practice for daily life. Like, just to have happier days, to be less stressed, to approach life more methodically and smart. You know what I mean? And that's just one of those things that I've always battled with. Burnout. Like, just this thing that's just like blah. And then you blame yourself, you compare yourself. Like, it's kind of hard to even describe to you like burnout when you feel like when I felt it like this last week. And this isn't me just like trying to talk about burnout or express my feelings and stuff. It's actually coming from like a strategic place to be like, how do you work through it? Like, how do you practice? You know what I mean? How do you practice not burning out? Right? To end it though, like the way that I practiced it this week was like, first of all, recognizing it. Second of all, talking to somebody about it, my girlfriend, my brother actually as well. You know, they're just closest ones around right now. My girlfriend always really helps out with stuff. Same with my brother. My brother's like really smart and logical. So I talk to them. I recognize it. I talk to people. Honestly, I like to use ChatGPT. I like to voice what I'm feeling to ChatGPT, and that helps a lot. Because then I get a second perspective, and then, you know, you kind of have to word it in a way where it's like give an unbiased response, but like, you know what I mean? So I use that. I journaled a bit based on that, and then I, you know, had to then, you know, recreate a plan for like how I needed to go about life. You know what I mean? And like, my life is not going to be the same as your life. Like, I'm a fitness coach who works online at home all day. Obviously, it's not going to be like the same thing as your life. You might have a 9 to 5, you know, but you know, you might have to fit in or change a few things about, you know what I mean? Just some certain areas. And in general, I know that this gives you some kind of mental clarity in a sense, to help you start making just better decisions to take hold of your life. But like, that's one thing I deeply value. Doing things today to like make your life better tomorrow. That's one thing I've always preached, is like getting better today for a better tomorrow. And this, you know, this thing is just something that you practice. But that's all I did, really. Yeah, I recognize it. I talked to some people. You know, I chatted with ChatGPT. I journaled a little bit. Essentially just like reaching out for help. I took a little time off because I was so stressed I couldn't do anything, but I couldn't really do much. And then I created a new plan for my life. And for you, I mean, that might be a little bit different. It might be a new workout plan, a new meal plan. It might be like a new schedule. It might be like a you might be saying no to a few different things, no to hanging out with certain people. It might be, you not going out as much. It might be you saving a little bit more money. It might be you, not spending as much. It might be you using your time a little bit more wisely, not spending so much time watching Netflix. It might be you, doing a few things differently, right? To, in order to save yourself some stress, so then that way you could get sleep. A few other things before I head out. Things that really do help with burnout is taking care of your health, making sure that you're consistently working out, making sure that you are getting good sleep. That's a really big key. So, if you're filling your nights with just like shows and you're getting 6 hours of sleep, it's like, that's not really going to cut it. Like, have a bedtime, like cut it off, set your bedtime, write it in stone. Getting outside also really helps, because I find it gets you outside of your mind when you're clumped up in, a 4-walled box. Like, it's like, you need to get yourself outside, go for a walk. Going to the gym helps, but if it's like a part of your consistent routine, it's tough. So I find like a mix of getting different perspectives of burnout from people, and then also maybe online, getting outside, getting proper rest, taking care of yourself. It adds up, right? And then just making sure that you have a plan in order to, get yourself, back on track. And that might be tweaking your, fitness a bit, your health plan a little bit, or, your life plan a little bit. It might be tweaking a few things, but whatever you do, like, you might have to replan. You know what I mean? You might have to replan a few things. At least replan some of the things that you can control, like your sleep, fitness, etc. Because that can help a lot. All right. So that's going to be it. If you have any questions or anything whatsoever, make sure to like this and, post some comments or whatever it is, or reach out online, whatever. But I'll be posting more. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know. And no more burning out. Let's take control of it. It takes a lot, you know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of meditation, self-meditation, to be like, to get yourself back to a right place. And that takes practice, because it's so easy getting caught up in this world. It's hard to like maintain your confidence and like keep up with the world and keep up with life. It's fucking hard, man. I can't even be real with you guys. Like, sometimes I stress so hard I'm not even like that popular on social media and stuff, but it's like, sometimes I'd be stressing so hard about what I do for work and everything like that, and it really gets to me. And so I'm like, man, how can I get to the place where I'm like, it doesn't get to me as much, I'm taking the right steps, you know what I mean? It's just like, it can just get to you. It's crazy. Yeah, that's really it though. I'm feeling better though. Took some time to recoup, replan, get better. And the whole full like low kind of feeling, it took like about 2 weeks. But I am just saying though, like, no matter who you are, like, you can get to a place where it doesn't matter who you are or what you do, you can get to a place where you feel like really good about your life and about yourself. And a lot of that comes down to managing yourself. You know what I mean? Like, learning how to approach life differently, how to approach stress. Stress is one of the big ones, man. Stress is one of the fucking worst things ever. If we didn't deal with stress, imagine how fucking amazing that would be. Wow. But also it wouldn't be. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise at the same time. Because if we didn't have stress, then we wouldn't go into fight or flight and like know how to, fight and like fight for what we want and so on and so forth. It's a needed part of life, but the unwanted stress is not, EU stress, I think is what it's called, is not what we need. All right. Or is it, I think it's called EU stress, or it's like, I forget the name of it, but yeah. So just be wary as you tread on your path, young warrior. Stress they can get you, no matter where you work or what you do or how into fitness you are or whatever it is. Like, fuck, even fitness can stress you out. Like, think about it from my shoes, online fitness coach. All I do is fitness stuff for the most part. So it's like, for me, having a balance is fucking key. Otherwise, I'm like consumed in it. And like, you're idiotic if you think balance isn't key. Like, you're idiotic. Like, man, this day and age in this culture with like work and everything, like all you do is work. You know what I mean? Put your emotions down, this, that. I'm like, I don't want to live like that. That's not what I want to teach my kids. Like, fuck that. Who the fuck do you think you are? Needing to work all the time. Bro, like, you only live once. Get a fucking life. Like, that's the last thing that I want to do. I want to work as much as I need to be as successful as I need to possibly be. But then at the same time, like, enjoy life. And that's often how I find that I've gotten more successful. It's always been when I've enjoyed life. Gone out and traveled and I've done certain things and stuff like that, like every single time. You know what I mean? So don't let the stress get to you. I'm kind of rambling now, but you got to enjoy the little things along the way, and you got to really define. Like, it does take thought. I think that's one of the hard things when you're burnt out, because like that's what helps you overcome it. Like, you have to think through things, you have to replan, you have to figure things out. But if you don't have the energy for it, it can make it really hard. And so take time to think. Give yourself a little chill time if you need, but like then it's like, okay, it's thinking time, it's replanning time. It's like, what am I working towards? What are the steps to get there? You know, so on and so forth. And then it's just that. And use ChatGPT. It actually helps a fucking lot. But damn, what world do we live in, man? Some people are crazy. Like, especially in like that's what it's like. It's hard for me. I find at times it's easy for me to like tap into that place where I'm like not myself, and I'm more like savage, ravage Nick, where I'm like, I'll do anything it takes. I'll work 16-hour days and blah, 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 because you get sucked into like, you need to work all the time. You need to work, make the most out of every hour that you have. Like, if your fucking family would die in the next year, if you didn't become a millionaire, like, you would be working right now, all this stuff. And it's like, you don't need to approach it that way. That's a lot. You know what I mean? It's very stressful. Too stressful, right? You should be putting in the work, right? But there's a smarter way to go about it than just like hunkering down and working 16-hour day. Like, first of all, anybody who says that they do that, like, I don't believe them. Next, if they do, it's like, okay, man, you're going to feel so unfulfilled and unhappy and depressed one day. Like, I cannot see it. I had this thought. I'm like, no wonder why people work 8-hour days Monday through Friday, because if you're working more, it's like 12-hour days, 16-hour days, or even like 8 hours Monday through Sunday. You burn out. I've done it all. You know what I mean? Over the last 5 years, I've you know what I mean? So it's like, man, you got to think like, there's a reason why some people do things. And there's also myth and truth. You can't work all the fucking time. You need to take time for yourself. You need to prioritize your mental health. You need to prioritize your body. You need to treat it well. Like, you need to feed it the right food, right supplements. You need to work out. You need to get healthier. You need to, like, there's a lot. You know what I mean? But some people just don't fucking get it. Some people just don't. Like, it's something that you just can't escape. Stress, anxiety, and blah. And it doesn't mean that, like, you're tougher than another person. Like, you know what I want to do? I want to be able to say that, like, I did it without fucking killing myself, metaphorically in the process, right? To an extent. Like, I already have in the last 5 years have killed myself a lot, to be real, like a lot. But, moving forward from this place, like, obviously I still want to grind, still want to work, but not to the point where I'm like, where I can't even handle myself. You know what I mean? And sometimes those times are a little inevitable, but honestly, I find it's kind of like driving. Like, I forget what they say. It's like you have a 1% chance to get into a collision, because a lot of the time, like, you're the one in control. Same goes for life. All right. So I'll talk to you guys soon. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about, feel free to reach out anytime. The door is always open. All right. So show some love, for real. Something I need you to do, please. Show some love, like, follow, whatever it is. And I'll be posting more.